So about 3 weeks ago, there was a really bad wreck in front of Cuban Breezes. Would you guys have gone to that, or would that have been,
It depends on what cell tower picks it up.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. A lot of times we'll both get dispatched, Hillsborough and us, but I don't recall hearing about us going to a bad wreck.
I was coming down Lafayette to go across, like I was going to Publix. Third car in, guy was flying 85 or 90, blew through the red light, blew up a van. He spun, and I thought for sure he was going to flip, but he hit all the way down to the entrance, where that far entrance is for Starbucks.
So that happened right in front of you?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
Wow.
and I started to pull over. By the time I looked up, 40 people were around everybody. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to get in the middle of this mess.
I think I do remember a call there, but I feel like Hillsborough was already on scene or taking care of it.
They were shopping at Publix.
So we did replace Morgan's car.
Really? Holy cow, I like it.
We bought our new Bronco.
New?
Yep.
I love those. I think they're so cool looking.
Which is the insurance.
I don't know yet. We're still.
Oh, I love
I
that.
have to buy the car in the
Kind
next
of
month
like
or
a
so.
deep
Yeah.
green. Oh, cool.
Ours are
The
expensive too.
16-year-old boy.
Oh, your insurance.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
How much does the firefighter opinion board pay?
Huh?
How much does
We
the
got
firefighter opinion
Oh,
board
that's
pay?
so cool.
I really am thinking about getting, it's like, do you buy the $5,000 clunker?
Well, but the weekend
Or do I buy him
before,
something that's gonna get him through
my
college?
expedition,
Uh-huh.
Someone turned front end.
One of my good friends, his
Took out the whole front end.
son made it all through junior and senior year driving
Not quite so soon.
his 2005 Corolla that he bought brand new and had it since then. His daughter's second day of school this year, she was driving, totaled it. So I can't figure out which one to do.
Okay.
Jerry, do you know, is Pedro is maybe
He
up?
just, so I was waiting for he responded just 1 minute ago, said he's planning on being here in person. I said, you know the meeting's at 10, right? And
Listen.
responded, so.
Yeah, I had it written down for 2 on my calendar, but then when Jessica said 10, it's like, okay, good, so.
Yeah, I think when we switched to the
We
league.
we did 10 last
time
quarter
is,
too.
But I still had it written.
That was, and certainly we can talk about it again. I think that was per what the trustees preferred.
Yeah, okay.
So we got the packet up there. They are live on YouTube, so we're ready to go when you guys are.
Okay.
Ready?
I think so. So we'll go ahead and call the firefighter pension board meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is open forum. Seeing no one. First item is minutes from the June 20 meeting. We need approval.
I move to approve.
A second.
Any discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So just now, as I'm trying to access the links, I'm getting the same thing to log in.
But did it work for you prior or it didn't? Or this the first time you've clicked
I
on it?
think it's the first time I've been able to.
Okay. At least, well, oh, so y'all can do it on your
You
screens
can
in
see
front?
it, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Okay. Who's in control of? Oh, okay. So what,
I'll get you a copy at the end. It's just saying, when I click the link, it's saying it didn't work.
okay. Did anybody else have that issue or
Yeah, just
had no
me.
problem?
That's it.
You had it, and you were fine?
Go that far yet.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can lead you guys there.
Well, we've got it,
City's
they,
website if you want it.
Yeah, so I hadn't gotten that far. Okay. But next item is approval of absence for Brian Mahoney from the June 20 meeting.
I'll
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item is the quarterly investment report as
Okay.
of June 30.
All right, and you, as you can see, the dollar amounts are up on the screen, and I'll go over those first. So you started the quarter with just over 8.9 million. There's 114,000 in contributions that came in. Another good earnings quarter, up 161,000. Paid out just under 22,000 distributions, had just under 21,000 in expenses. So the ending balance was $9,155,313.81. And then, as usual, the next couple pages are just the accounting for that. Any questions about the dollars themselves before turning to the investments?
No, thank you.
Okay, let me, see, page 18 for scrolling on the screen, hopefully if it matches mine. So as I kind of alluded to already, another good earnings quarter, up 1.81%. Which puts us fiscal year to date again through June 30th of up 11.37%. So again, continuing the rally that we've enjoyed most this year. Kind of jumping ahead a little bit, July was an awesome month, great month. Unfortunately, August decided to, investors kind of took some of their winnings off the table. So we did see some of July's earnings taken back. September had been the first couple weeks or so was not a lot happening, and then unfortunately the last couple weeks we're starting to see some a little bit of trouble, a little bit of kind of gray clouds hovering. So we're starting to see the market pull back again. It's been down quite a bit. Yesterday was, I think, the worst day we've had since back in March. Market opened up slightly this morning, but I don't know that put any stock in where market opens to start the day. So we are seeing a bit of a sell-off right now. We've got to withstand 2 more days, get through Friday, and then that gets us through our fiscal year. So if we can keep from anything real bad happening, we're still going to book a really strong fiscal year return, whether it's 11, 12, 13, 10%. So, it looks like it's going to be a double-digit gain. Again, we'll see how the next few days go. So much needed after last year. It's been kind of an incredible roller coaster ride. You look back 2 years ago, record year up over 20%, followed up with a record bad year down 13+%, and then a very unexpected but much needed rally this year. As we've talked about before, nobody really saw this coming, but we'll certainly take it because, contribution rates took large hits last year, and this is going to help kind of bridge the gap back down to where it was before. It's not going to get us there, of course, but it's certainly going to help kind of alleviate that pain as we go into the next actuarial valuation season coming up, and we find out what the newest contribution rate will be as a result of that. So, that's certainly going to help. Again, it's weird. I spent a lot of time this time of last year and even early into this year kind of cautionary. We don't have a real great outlook, and we're kind of back to that again. There's the recession grumblings are starting to grow again, as I'm sure everybody's probably hearing. 2024 is kind of the best guess for when that may happen. It seems inevitable. We'll have to see. Hopefully, if it does come, it won't be a deep one or a long-lasting one. But again, you don't know. So I would, and really all that to just say, we'll enjoy the gains we had this year, but I don't think we're just going to turn around and expect 7, 8, 9, 10+%
Going at the same
next
rate.
year. Yeah. So we shall see. I'll kind of stop there for a moment. Certainly, if you want me to kind of talk about any individual portfolios or have any questions, we can do that. Or any thoughts?
I don't have any questions.
Brian, nothing for me?
The only thing I'm curious is what the Capital City Cash is paying.
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I apologize. Yeah. We try not to keep, obviously, too much in cash. But
And when that says T-bills 90-day,
that's just So all of those gray lines that you see down there, that's a benchmark. You know, we try to give everything a benchmark. I don't know if that's really an apples to apples comparison, but you need something to kind of say,
Compare
hey,
it to.
you know, you're getting this, comparing it to something. You know, a lot of these funds have pretty good, accurate benchmarks to compare them against. The Core Plus is the only other one, the Core Plus Bond Fund, where there's really nothing to compare it to. So we kind of use the closest thing, but I always tell people, don't get caught up too much in that index. I've had some various boards kind of get stuck on that because that fund will outperform the index by 5 to 10% some years, and then it'll turn around and underperform it by large amounts because it's just not, there's not really an accurate index compared to the way that fund operates. The rest of them are a little more in line. So.
Any other questions? Thank you. Moving on to the next item is the fiscal year 23 audit engagement letters. And I usually provide both, whether we're going to do a standalone or include it in the city. I still call it a CAFR. Easier to say than ACFR. And I don't recall off the top of my head which years we do included. Were you able to?
This would be the year that you would do a standalone report if you were doing the every other year as usual. Last year, we did not have a standalone report.
Okay. So this year, if we stayed on track for what we normally do, we would do the standalone report. So I would just need a motion for what we want to move forward with.
I'm still on are we open for discussion yet or no? Or do we need a motion first?
I feel like we need a motion first.
But you don't want me to make the motion then?
Motion to proceed with the standalone audit for this year.
Second.
Okay, now any discussion?
Yeah, I'm still on the camp that don't know that it adds that much value. And with all the extra expense we've been laying out from the added money, and I don't know what the difference is.
I
think
was just
it's
gonna say, what's the differential between the two?
500, 750 or something, I don't know.
$160, I think.
How much?
The standalone is I'm sorry. The standalone is $7,000. And the one included in the city's ACFR is $4,840.
Which gives me what, 21?
60. You'd save $2,160 by going with including the report in the city's annual financial report.
What is the
Does
huge?
this board pay the city 4,000 and change if they're part of it, or the city just pays that whole tab?
I didn't hear the question.
So if the board is included with the cities, does the board then reimburse the city for the $4,000 part?
The $4,000 goes to the auditor for the auditing of all the firefighter information that's in our ACFR.
And who pays that 4,000? This board pays it?
The pension board pays
Okay,
that.
so the city doesn't just absorb that, okay.
Can you explain the differential between the two reports, combining versus, I mean, is there a huge discrepancy of what is reviewed, presented?
I am not an audit expert, so I can give you the gist, but certainly if somebody feels like they know it, I believe it's more procedural. I think if they do one for this board, they might do a little more in-depth to look at like processes and procedures. I don't know what that really comes. I guess the best way I could answer it, and I don't have a dog in this fight one way or another, is most boards don't do standalone audits that we work with, but certainly we have some that do. So I don't know that there's a right or wrong.
And Brian, your concern for it is just because of expense and you feel that they basically present the same data?
It's more extensive, but I just don't see that there's a need for it. I mean, and if we were 100 million, maybe 10 years from now, and it's 25 million, and I'm cheap.
No, but I mean, this is your, your area of expertise, so we look to that. so.
And in the past, we've just always done every other year, just,
Yeah.
And a lot of that's been on the recommendation from the board attorney, just to protect the board, that we are doing that just for the board. We're not relying on any other entity and that's kind of why we've stuck with that every other year. As far as I can recall, it's been that way since I started on the board. Doesn't mean we have to continue it that way.
Well, I'm on 8 years, and every time I throw up the same thing. and-
Argument, yeah.
Yeah.
And in a, but if the data is the same, like Brian's saying, I mean, might be a tiny, bit different, how would we still not be doing our fiduciary responsibility? We're having it audited. It's being done by an outside vendor. There's no, way that we can, or the city can manipulate the data. So I would,
And does this decision have to be made today? Does anyone know?
yeah, because they got to start processing it, yeah.
They would need to start rolling through the data collection.
Well, the next meeting would be too late. I mean, I need to know.
Yeah.
Or
As
the
soon as
auditor
they-
would need to know while he's here. He comes in December and starts our audit work. So if we don't know what we're doing, he's not going to know at that point.
So we need a special meeting
Can I
potentially
rescind
prior.
my motion and change it at this point?
I think
Or
we
can
can
I
just,
alter it?
I mean, we can just amend it, yeah.
I would like to amend my motion that we, based on costs and everything this year, we include ourselves in the city and revisit it next year. Again, to possibly going back to the every other, but I think the savings is, 2,100 is, an amount that we should, save this year going forward. So that's my new motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions?
And then next year, maybe we move it to a third.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly, but I think, yeah, I agree with that.
Any other questions, discussion? All in favor of the amended motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So we will include it in the city ACFR.
Good job, you saved us $2,100.
Thank you for the discussion.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so next item is presentation of the administrative budget report as of 9/1.
Let's see. Page 102.
23.
Yeah, this is just, I think, something that you all have had done by the city in the past, just kind of keeping you up to date. I don't believe we need any action on this. It's just keeping us apprised of where you stand for the year. The next item we're actually going to take action on, which is very closely tied to this.
Yes.
Certainly, I can run through here if you have any questions or.
It looks like we're on track for what we budgeted. Is there I don't think there's anything outstanding, is there?
Anybody go to travel or anything?
No, I was gonna do the conference, but it coincided with today's meeting, so. Okay, any other questions or discussions for the current budget? Okay. Next item is the proposed administrative budget for fiscal year '24.
Yeah, so just as a reminder to everybody, this is some busy work items we do each year. So at the last fiscal year meeting, which we're doing now, we set the budget for next year. Now, I caution you, the term budget is probably not the right word. We're just stating what we estimate our expenses to be. We're not setting aside dollars for certain things. We're not limiting ourselves or saying we're going to spend this even if we don't need to. We're just estimating what our expenses is. That's part of the reporting we have to do. If we go over, we go over. If we go under, we go under. The worst case scenario is if we spend more than we estimated, we come back and just file an amended budget to reflect that. So, and then at our next meeting, we'll actually then approve our actual expenses from this year. So that's what we'll be doing at the next. So that's what's put together here. Again, just an estimated budget. Certainly, if you have any questions or want to tweak some numbers, we certainly can, or we can just approve it as presented.
Move to approve as presented.
I second.
Any questions or discussions? favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approved as presented. Next item is invoices for ratification for expenses.
Okay. Again, that's the very next page, 104. I think we just have, it looks like two for this meeting. We have our quarterly fees, $4,095.78, and then the board administration fee of $750, so it's $4,845.78.
I move to ratify the two FMPTF invoices as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is the premium tax distribution for 2022.
Yep, and this is just informational, letting you all know that it was received in the amount of $114,726.14.
And I think the projected supplemental is relatively high as well this year.
I'm not
Dana?
sure. I could look it up real quick. I don't know off the top of my head. Don't
It's just
remember
a
everybody's.
huge-
But I did notice they had, it's interesting because we haven't seen supplementals in several years now, and the thought was they're going away, but in the columns, I did notice they've got, some municipalities have some large supplementals, so hopefully those are coming.
I thought the estimate was gonna be for $1.50 on this and not 115 or 114. Did we just come way under, or we did?
I don't remember seeing an estimate, or maybe in the
Remember when we were
actuary
doing the
report.
actuarial
Oh.
table?
Yeah, so I don't know, I can certainly go in and look. I think what he generally does is he just looks at last year, the prior years, says we should get something about like that again. Now, to what Renee was just mentioning, if the supplementals do come in as they look like, then you could end up being well over the 150. So that may be what's happening this year, is that because if they're going back to supplemental payments, which had gone away, then the initial payment's a little lower, you get the supplemental and you end up being bigger in total, whereas prior few years, they were just writing one check.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm old, so I forget things at this point in my life. The supplemental, though, is kind of a bonus coming in, though. This is, the 114 is the outlay from the city, correct?
No, this is the
State?
state tax monies that the city's received to put towards the
This amount.
contribution, yeah.
Right, but it still flows through the city
Yes,
as far as a part of their budget. But the supplemental isn't a negative impact to the budget, is it?
shouldn't be.
So like in a good year, this would be 50 or 60 if we're having a 15% up market, correct?
No, this money's not tied to market returns or anything. This is strictly, so there's an extra tax for firefighters on property insurance, premiums within the district or the lines that are being, covered. That tax is collected by the insurance company. They then have to provide that money to the state. The state then says so for instance, this is a chapter plan. If you follow all of the rules, we'll send you a prorated portion back based upon what was collected in your area.
So
And that's what so it has, go ahead.
So the funds that the city budget is responsible for matching and kicking in, that's a separate basket?
They can use this money in that amount, right?
Yeah, this can count towards offsetting. So essentially, this check goes to the city, but then the city has, I think, 5 days to send it to us and get it into the fund. So it comes to the city, but it goes directly from there straight into the fund.
All right, let me rephrase the question then, because I'm as lost as can be right now. I'm not, but you know what I mean. Anyway, when we increased the allocation amount, what did we go to, 6 3/4, or we decreased it? The expectation of the return,
Investment return, yeah, we brought it down.
which then increased the basket of money that the city had to budget for
Right.
that contribution amount. This is a part of that contribution amount, or is this a
This-
separate basket?
a little bit of both, go ahead.
The city takes this money in, but they can use that toward.
It can be a credit towards what they owe in contribution.
Okay.
I think that's what you're asking.
And then the supplemental will come and credit it more. So in theory, it won't be as big of a hit to the city's overall budget if this is correct. Yes?
Yes.
I believe so.
Correct.
So
Yes.
I only hesitate because we do budget for a firefighter premium tax insurance payment. So in this year's budget, the city budgeted $70,000, it came in at $115,000. But that's just an in and an out.
Yeah.
So we have to record it in the budget somewhere, so we're gonna show us over budget in that expenditure category in the fire department, but we've gotten money from the state. So it's gonna look like an over expenditure on the city's budget, but it's just an in and out.
All right,
Just the tracking.
I'm good.
Clear as mud?
Clear as mud.
So as people's insurance rates go up for their homeowners, does that mean it's more money for the fund?
Theoretically, yes.
And property rates are going up
That's
Yep.
right.
Oh, yeah.
every day.
And then for, just a side note, for police plans, there's an extra tax on automobile insurance premiums.
And I believe this is just commercial, it's not residential.
No, it's,
It's
should be all property
All
taxes.
property, okay. For some reason, I was thinking just commercial. Any other questions on the tax distribution? Thank you. Next item is the 22 annual report. The Division of Retirement.
And obviously, it was approved because you have to have that approved to get the state to send you the premium tax dollars that we were just discussing. So this is just a copy of it here. I don't know if you all, I don't know how you've typically done it past, if you've gone through it, or it's just informational, let you know that it's there. So you all can tell me what you prefer here, but,
I feel typically they've sent us copies.
and that's what's here. There's a copy of that report, and again, it's, obviously, like I said, it's already been approved. A lot of most of the busy work items that we do throughout the year are boxes to check on the annual report so that we get that state money. That's kind of, everything we do really gears us.
They require
Towards-
the reporting
yeah.
and, yeah.
And just a sidebar question, I guess. How many people are technically in the plan right now?
I just looked at that. I believe it's 9.
Plus the 4
or-
beneficiaries?
Yeah.
And there's nobody in drop, huh?
We don't have a drop on this plan.
No,
It was something that just hasn't ever been added.
okay. Because I see the drop plan payments, that's why I was wondering.
What's drop?
They leave and come back.
The
They
state,
retire and come back,
Oh.
basically,
well, and it stashes extra money.
right?
You want me to give a
That
30
would be
second?
great.
Okay, so a drop is, it's called deferred retirement option plan, but nobody says that. So drop, essentially what you do is you retire from this defined benefit plan. You still keep coming to work every day, you still get your paycheck, your health insurance, so on and so forth, but you quit accruing benefits. As a matter of fact, what we do at that time is we pretend you're retiring, so we do all of your calculations to determine what your monthly benefit's gonna be in retirement. But instead of sending that check to you each month, we put it into a drop account. And then there's a little bit of variance from plan to plan, so it's plan specific. Maybe you get, that drop account gets credited with a guaranteed percentage, or very common is just whatever the plan, right, we're investing all the plan's assets, so whatever the returns of the plan's assets are, you just credit the drop account with. So each month, we're putting a check in there, it's earning some sort of credited interest. Whenever you go to retire, fully retire, separate service, sail off into the sunset, then whatever amount of money is in that account, you get that as a lump sum payment, and then those monthly checks start going to you at that point in time. So it's a way to kind of build a little bit of extra cash.
Right.
If you feel like you've built a high enough monthly benefit, you're like, I'm happy there, but I want some cash, I do that.
Gotcha.
It's the very quick version. There's many other
Right, right.
nuances, but that's
You
the quick
simplified
one.
And they upped the numbers for the state, so I think 8% on the drop money that goes on the side.
Oh, the guaranteed return?
Yeah, it
I
was
knew they
absurd.
had dropped it a lot.
And they raised it to 8 years from 5.
Yeah, that's how long you can stay in. They're
Yeah.
not giving 8% as a return. I think it's still fairly low guaranteed
Used to be a
return.
high guarantee, but
And
then,
then they dropped it really low, and I think it might have creeped back up a little.
5, I don't know. It was aggressive because one of my clients is staying at 3 extra years in Tallahassee for it.
Right?
I digress. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. Any other questions? I think some of that's good sometimes because people don't know and some people forget as we get older.
What I have for breakfast.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Consider order of the annual valuation report for 10/1/23.
And again, as a kind of, we've kind of already talked about, it's the season again. And that's just, and there is not a requirement to do one annually. If you remember prior discussions, as a matter of fact, a lot of plans used to do them every other year. But what happened is, oh, Pedro's calling. Do you want me to
Sure.
get him on?
If we can get him on.
Hey, Pedro, hey, you're on speaker here. We're with the board.
Oh, gosh.
Oh.
Thank you, Jeremy, for picking up. I'm sorry.
No.
Everybody, we had I thought the meeting was at 2 p.m. I was actually on my way up there now.
Turn around and go home.
Well, it's good timing because I think you're actually up next on the agenda. So as I was saying, yeah, we used to do these, or you could do them every couple of years, you still can, but some of the annual requirements, GASB requirements, which are government accounting standards board, there's annual requirements, and the work became so much on those that there's not a cost savings anymore to just doing an actuarial evaluation every year because the actuary is already doing so much work annually on those. So now pretty much every plan just does an annual evaluation. So you keep getting more current information and you're not incurring extra costs where you used to have some savings by doing it every couple of years. So just a quick refresher there. So again, you don't have to have one next year, but I think y'all have been doing them annually for a while now and most plans do. So
Yeah.
Does there need to be a vote or is this informational?
you
We
probably
need
want to approve it, yeah.
The request to do it, yeah.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any questions or discussions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Approved. Okay, next item is attorney update.
Pedro, I don't know if you can hear, but if you're in a position to talk, they're at attorney update.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jeremy. So really the only thing I just wanted to touch on was with respect to piece of legislation that we've discussed the last couple of meetings, but House Bill 3, which is now Chapter 2023-28, it did become effective as of July 1st. And if you guys recall, essentially this bill amended the fiduciary requirements in the Florida statutes. It now requires that any kind of investment decision or allocation or proxy vote be based on solely pecuniary factors, right? Pecuniary factor is something that would materially affect risk and return. And so the furtherance of any type of political, sociological, ideological, religious goals are expressly prohibited. And so one of the, just interestingly, we are going to have to file a report with the state on a biannual basis. December 15, I believe this year is the first report that's going to be due. And so every other year, every odd year going forward, we'll have to file this compliance report. We don't know what the report looks like at this point. We don't know really any details, who, what, when, where, how. And we know the state is supposed to issue guidance as required by the statute. The state came out, they sent a memo, the Division of Retirement sent a memo or an email blast, not last Friday, but I believe the Friday before then, essentially advising that they were going to be coming out with rules or guidance. It has not yet been issued, so I think everyone's kind of eagerly awaiting what that's going to look like. But we are going to need to file a report at some point in December, and so obviously we'll be on the lookout for that. We'll work with Jeremy and his team just to get that filed. But just in terms of maybe some insight that I think we could garner. So the State Board of Administrators administration, just to take a step back, if you guys recall, this whole new law originated from last summer. There was a disagreement with the State Board of Administration, which is a three-person board of trustees, similar to yourselves, who administer different asset pools in the state. Unclaimed property, the state 529 accounts, the treasury, but I think primarily or the largest pool of assets is the Florida retirement system. And so there was a disagreement with BlackRock regarding its use of ESGs, and so the SBA actually adopted this pecuniary factors as an administrative policy, and essentially divested a piece of their assets from BlackRock. Fast forward to the legislative session, and the legislature essentially codified the SBA's administrative policy with respect to these pecuniary factors, right? So shortly after the governor signed the bill, the SBA, ironically enough, made a fairly large commitment to a BlackRock ESG fund. And so naturally the questions came pouring in, well, how does this comport with not only the policy that you had in place, but also, the new law, which you just signed, which I guess admittedly doesn't become effective back then for 2 months, July 1st, but this doesn't really seem to make any sense to us. Can you explain? And so the governor's response, I think, is telling or insightful maybe, in that it essentially the governor, the SBA responded with, this fund has had, great performance, extremely reasonable fees, and then has also similarly satisfied, all of the board's longstanding risk tolerance and thresholds, right? Essentially pointing to pecuniary factors. And so it seems like this law is really geared more towards legislating intent rather than a final decision or action, right? And so what I mean by that is it seems like the ESG board could invest in an ESG fund if it chose to. Again, provided the basis was, good performance, great fees, risk metrics are there, alpha, beta, standard deviation, right? But conversely, if the board were to invest in that exact same ESG fund, but the reasoning, the basis for it was, this fund does a lot to curb global warming, or this fund is really going to help save the whales, or it's going to help protest the war in the Ukraine, right? And that would seemingly be an impermissible investment. That would be a breach of the board's fiduciary responsibilities, because again, it's basing decisions not on pecuniary factors, but rather something outside of that. So all that long-winded way of saying, I think the ultimate effect of the law is going to be fairly muted. Obviously we're going to have to jump through a couple of extra hoops and hurdles, but I think practically speaking, administratively speaking, nothing really is going to change, and the investment universe, so to speak, will remain intact. And so again, as long as the board continues to do what it's always done, right, which is essentially base decisions on risk return, then really nothing should change in a substantive or material way. Any questions or anything on that?
But that's all falling on you guys as a.
Correct, and I believe you weren't here at the last meeting, so we discussed this, and just for your knowledge, this does have no material impact on us because none of our investment managers were making decisions based on that, so they don't have to change anything they're doing. We did update our investment policy just to reflect the language, but again, it's not impactful other than just to stay compliant. And as Pedro said, we're hoping to get information on the filing. Our hope, because you have kind of utilized us and you've joined our trust fund, technically you all don't own any assets. You just own a share of the Florida Municipal Pension Trust Fund. So we're very hopeful that the trust fund will just file the report and that will flow through to all our members. Because we had to do, if you all do one, it's gonna be the exact same for all of our members. So we'll see how it goes. I may have to bring something for you all to review and sign off on, but we're very hopeful, not holding our breath, but hopeful that maybe the fund will just file one on your all's behalf, but we will see when we learn more.
I don't want to do that paperwork.
Well, my guess is you won't have to do anything. We'll have to do the work and then just review it, with you all, whatever that looks like, so. If you had your own individual like if you went out and hired your own consultant, which means then you would, with the consultant's help, you all would actually hire your own investment managers, you'd probably have to do more actual work as the board potentially. Now, of course, they would help you with that, but, in this case, I don't think you're gonna have to.
Any other questions or for Pedro? Thank you, Pedro. I don't know if you can hear me.
Thank you all, and again, I sincerely apologize. I thought I was gonna see you guys in person. We had it scheduled for 2, and I apologize for our confusion on that.
So, yeah, nothing left on the agenda, but I just wanted to touch on, I think we usually put the next meeting date at the end of the agenda. I don't see that on this one.
It didn't fit on the main page, so it is on the next page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I have it down on my calendar as November 6th.
Yeah, November 6th at 10 a.m.
I will say that I won't be here for that one.
Oh, okay. Do we need to,
I don't know if everyone else will be here or.
That works for me.
so leave it at
If
November?
everybody else will be here, then,
And that's a Monday.
November 6th?
yeah, it is Monday.
Ooh.
I go Costa Rica on Wednesday. I'm good for that Monday.
That's coming up soon.
Who's gonna be in charge of it?
Seems like it's.
You?
You?
We reschedule it?
Not for that reason.
So Kenny gets to run it?
Yes.
That's outstanding.
No, this is gonna be great.
I'll help you through it if you'd like.
All right, awesome.
Okay. Then,
So
yeah, we
keep
can-
it?
You can keep it.
Okay.
We'll just make sure, the updated time gets to
Yeah,
you.
so Pedro, the next meeting, November 6th, which is the same date, also 10 a.m.
Yep,
Yep.
I got it. Just making a note
okay.
to Jessica, to my office.
And then going forward, you all kind of tell me how you want, because it was my understanding that, because it is time to set the dates for 2024, in the past, it was my understanding that the city just set the dates and let you all know, and I thought maybe there was some conversation that you all would like to have. And I guess, how would you all like to go about setting the dates going forward?
I think what they've done in the past is considered our shift schedule,
Okay,
just to make sure it wasn't on his shift,
okay,
and then coordinated it through the attorneys.
okay.
And then once they had dates, then I think they sent them to us to make sure that we were good.
Okay, so let me make notes of all the parameters, since we'll be the ones working on that now. So don't have it on your shift.
No, it's B shift.
Okay, and will we be able to get a
I can
calendar
send- I
for the
can
year
send
of
you-
B shifts?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so not on B shift. Okay, and then 10 a.m. still is
I'm good with that.
preferred, okay. And then days of the week to avoid or to shoot for, or,
I'm open.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
He's not here. Avoid.
avoid, okay. Make sure chairman is available. Okay, so let's see, so no B shifts, 10 a.m. City side, on the city side, is there anything to try to avoid for 10 a.m. meetings in this room, days?
Maybe just coordinate with the city clerk's office.
Okay.
For this
Yeah, we'll
room.
double check, okay. But generally, you can't think of anything that's standing 10 a.m. issues?
Not in this room.
Okay, all right, perfect, okay. Well, this shouldn't be too painful then.
We appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll work on that, and somewhere between now and the next meeting, hopefully in the next month or so, we'll disseminate some dates to everybody.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Just need a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro.
All right, thank you, guys. Again, I apologize. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Go Canes!
Yes.
So Garrett, when I went on the city site, I had the same
Bye, guys.
experience.
See ya.
Aye.
There right now, and it works for me just fine. Yeah, so I've had this issue happen with another board before, and it was a setting in the city's icon, the site that the city recommended, so I'm gonna go through that and just make sure that's not the issue.
Okay.
If it was emailed to y'all, that wouldn't be the problem, but if you're accessing it via a link, I mean, if it's still going on the city's site, that may be an issue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because just doing the link from what you guys sent, the error I got was that my email's not in your SharePoint, the league SharePoint,
That's what Mike said too, yeah.
like an authorized email in your SharePoint. I
Okay,
can show
I'll
you.
have Jessica work on that.
So it may just be a setting in the sharing. 'cause I
So you could